So far in the Beer Atlantic, I've had the opportunity to visit some brand new operations. A couple homebrewers that went pro just 6 months ago, and a farm brewery that just opened 5 months ago. Well, today I got something wholly new for you. A brand new production brewery. This is no small enterprise. This is going to be a big deal. And we're going to check it out this week on the Beer Atlantic. Mustang Sally Brewing Company, nestled in the shadow of Dulles International Airport. A brand new endeavor, production brewery in Chantilly, Virginia. Mustang Sally was the brainchild of Sean Hunt, a corporate attorney who decided to pursue his brewery dreams very carefully. So how did that decision come about to actually pull the trigger and start opening up a brewery?
Over a long period of time. I wanted to do this 25 years ago for the first time. The name Mustang Sally actually is a boat that I used to sail on about 25 years ago. And it was me and a buddy of mine were brewing. We started brewing beer, back then, and we were just out of college, and we were thinking about, starting a brewery, or just these grandiose, dreamy kind of ideas. And it just, it died away after 6 months, and it should have died away after 6 months. We would have never been able to do it. But yeah, it's 25 years in the making. It's just finally happening.
Of course, it was smooth sailing, right? There was absolutely no hiccups, no obstacles.
Oh yeah, perfectly smooth. Right. Yeah.
I'm familiar with a couple of hiccups. So, what were some of the big obstacles you ran into getting this thing open?
Big obstacles? It's no one big thing. It was just death by 1,000 cuts. So I engaged this consulting company, and we were working together with. There were multiple people that I'd worked with on it. And the first guy that I worked with was more the commercial marketing consultant, and he predicted that we wouldn't be open until April 2016. That we would be doing great to open April 2016, and I laughed at him. So I just never thought it would take this long to get open. And then I've been doing deal work for a long time. It's a long process, and it's worth it. It's a long process.
What's your best case scenario for Mustang Sally? Where do you like to end up?
I don't know. I definitely, I'll tell you where we want to start. We want to start being a very much part of our community. We want to be a community brewery. And as we grow out, the way I see it happening is that we'll continue to grow out the radius as long as people are interested in us and we can keep our quality. Right? So there's going to come a point where I think the farther we go away from this home base, it becomes harder and harder and harder. And eventually we just want to sacrifice that.
To make this work, Sean has gathered a team of seasoned veterans, including a brewmaster who's no stranger to the Mid-Atlantic. It's a big day. Inaugural pour today, right?
Yes. 15 months of hanging out and building this place with Sean, and we're finally there.
Outstanding. So you're not exactly some home brewer who decided to go pro. You've got some proper education in this, don't you?
Well, a long time ago, Dad and I homebrewed in the basement. But yeah, I was lucky enough to stumble into a brewing job in college, and I apprenticed at 2 places in Kansas, and during that time I went to the American Brewers Guild and got my diploma in craft brewing science and engineering. And then I took a hiatus from brewing because I'm not too bright sometimes, and became a baker, but fortunately I got back into brewing about 6 years ago and never looked back. But Mustang Sally is my 6th brewery, the 5th one where I've been a brewmaster. So going into this brand new endeavor, blank slate, what's going to be your philosophy as a brewmaster here? The same as it's always been. I'm extremely old world. Some people would say to a fault. And God bless all the people who are pushing the envelope. I had a pilot brewery when I was in Maryland, and it was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of good work there. But it's going to be very European. A couple of American offerings, like our IPA is American, but it's going to be extremely European. And I tell people all the time, if you go back in time 200 or 300 years, I might have a couple more ingredients at my disposal, but my recipes are largely the same. I really try to go back. I try to dig into the history books. I like to do things like Domp beers and beer to guards and things like that, and really keep the old stuff alive.
It'll take a quality cat wrangler to muscle this tasting room into shape. Seriously, it's huge. You can play high-a-lie in this tasting room.
Okay, so I am the manager of social media, and I'm also the events manager. So, somebody having a party here, I'll help make the arrangements for that. Also, anytime we're working festival logistics out, I'm in charge of that as well.
So aside from running a tap room and doing the occasional event, what are your plans for the social media and for the public engagement?
Well, the biggest plan, I mean, we're trying to reach as many people as possible. We're trying to get out to the beer community, not just here in Virginia, but in the Mid-Atlantic. I've been targeting different beer groups on Facebook. We've slowly but surely begun to build our Twitter feed. We're going to use the social media feeds to reach out to the beer community. It's going to be a way for us to talk about things like our seasonals that we'll eventually be brewing.
I noticed that there's not really a bottling line or a canning line. How do you plan to get the product in the hands of consumers?
So for the time being, we're only kegging. So initially, the beers will only be available on tap. So it'll be available on tap at restaurants, bars, your finest dives that you can find. But we do have long-term plans for eventually putting in either a canning or bottling line right over here. And once that's in, we are going to begin reaching out to places like the local Wegmans here in Virginia, the Total Wines, the smaller bottle shops, and when we're ready for it, we'll start moving into neighboring states.
All of the key players at Mustang Sally seem to emphasize the Northern Virginia craft beer community. Well, that community has certainly shown up today at this soft opening. This is without any advertising. So, what about the beer? All right, let's take a look at Mustang Sally's inaugural pour beers here. We have 3 selections today at the soft opening: the Kolsch, an IPA, and a porter. A Kolsch is a notorious beer to get correct. It's finicky. It's a weird hybrid style. It's like an ale, but it ferments kind of like a lager does. The trick to a decent Kolsch, you have to get a very strong, distinctively Pilsner quality from the grain. And very often, American Kolsches tend to cheat that with two-row, and it ends up being just a fizzy yellow beer. Another key component to a good Kolsch is a proper yeast. A very specific yeast gives a very peculiar ester flavor to the classic Kolsch. Now let's see how we did here at Mustang Sally. Wow. You want some Pils flavor, you're going to get it in this Kolsch. It's in spades, and it lingers. I'm still getting that graham cracker cookie-like quality that's unique to Pils malt. Well after the sip, it's just flourishing and cascading over my tongue. But the other good thing is it's very dry. Not sweet at all, which is a real seminal hallmark of a well-crafted commercial beer. You don't want it to have that kind of treacly homebrew quality. This does not. Very tight. Professional, masterful Kolsch. Highly recommended. Let's try the IPA out. I chatted with Kevin Smith earlier, and I discovered that this is basically a Columbus hop, single hop IPA, all the way through, even in the finishing. It's a bit murky. It's fine for an IPA though, especially if it's dry hop. Very floral nose. A somewhat restrained bitterness for an IPA. We're definitely not in a bracing bitterness mode. It's modest, almost to a pale ale quality. But otherwise, extremely clean. You get a little bit of that American ale nature, a bit of the caramel. It's well-rounded, modest. I have a feeling that the casual craft beer enthusiast would enjoy it, but an IPA fan would probably not dig it as much as they would something like Lagunitas or something else that really pounds you right in the face with the hops. This is a more gentle IPA. But I'm a malt head, so I kind of like it. And last, let's look at the porter. A nice dark color. Definitely getting a chocolate nose. Not too much roast. A bit like a mocha. There's an appropriate carbonation level in this porter. Makes it very smooth and easy drinking. Not too fizzy. Has an English quality, which is something I always like in a good porter. Got the English esters just kind of crammed in on top of Hershey bar chocolate. Just a little roast to dry it out in the finish. Again, all three beers have a nice, crisp, dry finish. Even the porter. Well, I definitely think this place is going to go places. It's a really exciting time to be involved in the craft beer industry, frankly. I enjoy watching people like these opening up such a large enterprise as this and doing so well so quickly. And specifically in Virginia, I will say that all of my experiences with the Virginia breweries have been really genuine and amazing. So towards that, I do want to bring you a quick update. I discovered this week that Devil's Backbone has been at least partially acquired by Anheuser-Busch. And I was there just 3 weeks ago and had no idea the whole time that that was in the process. I would like to say that I don't enjoy the thought that a big corporate beer is coming in and snapping up successful, genuine craft beer producers. Because to me, it really represents something detrimental to the craft beer enthusiast. There is a soul to craft beer, and the large corporate giants see nothing but the final numbers. If they did, then they would be making their own craft beer instead of allowing all of the little guys to assume all of the risk and just buy them out, and we'll see what happens to them in the long run. Thus far, I've not been impressed with the results, and I really don't want to see Devil's Backbone go that direction. Alas, for now, we're going to hope that Mustang Sally stays with it, stays the course, and continues to produce the kind of beer I just had in there, because if it does, they're going to go a long way. Well, thanks for joining me this week on the Beer Atlantic, and I will see you next week. You know, I really thought about trying to get the song for this place. We're just going to we're going to capture the awesome bartenders freaking out behind you. Then I thought about singing it. I looked it up. Turns out even humming the song would create a magnitude of lawsuits I can't handle right now. So just hum the song along to yourself. Well, who knows, it could work.